Hello everyone, you're welcome to this tutorial. This is Meritus Gorgeous Apparel. Today we shall be treating how to make the wave pattern of Canadian smoking. Now for your wave pattern of Canadian smoking, first of all you have to make your grid lines. What I mean by grid lines is these straight lines you are seeing, these square shapes. That is the first thing you are going to make. These lines, these are grid lines. After you must have done that, you now make your pattern of Canadian smoking, just like what I did here. This stroke I made here is for the wave pattern. Now for my grid lines, I made this of a measurement of 1 inch. The width is 1 inch, as you can see, while at the length I also used 1 inch. I labeled it here for you. I labeled it here for you to see 1 inch. Now after you must have drawn your grid lines, every grid lines you see here, this is my pattern paper. Every grid line you see here is the measurement is 1 inch for the length and the 1 inch for the width. Take note that you can choose to increase your measurement or you can decrease it depending on your test. So if you increase it, that means your wave will be broad, as in it will be bigger, but if you decrease it, it will be smaller. So I'm going to transfer this particular pattern I have made to my fabric. Remember, while smoking, you smoke at the wrong side of the fabric, while the right design will now come out at the right side. Please take note, do not make use of pen while making your patterns on the fabric, because it stains the fabric. Rather make use of your tailored shop. The reason I'm using this is to make it visible for you to see. So I've drawn my grid lines. Measurement again is 1 inch. As you can see for the width, 1 inch for the length. Now I'm going to make this pattern. Making the pattern for wave pattern of Canadian smoking is just making a stroke. You make a stroke across the square shape you've made. You see, a stroke like this. After you must have made the stroke, you leave a space gap and make another stroke in the same direction. You see that they are moving in the same direction. I'm not making it like this. You make the first stroke, leave a space gap, make another stroke. The stroke should be in one direction. Do you understand? Then you leave another space gap, make another stroke. Did you see? Then leave another space gap, make another stroke here. Did you see what I'm doing? You see what the stroke is? Sorry about this. Make another stroke. Now leave a line gap, make another stroke. So after you must have made strokes in this particular row, so after you must have made strokes in this particular row, you come over to this side. Do you understand? Now let's take it again. Make a stroke here, leave a gap, make a stroke here, leave a gap, make a stroke here, leave a gap, make a stroke here, and then you leave a gap, make a stroke here, and then you move over to this side. Do you understand? Now over to this side, you made the first stroke here. You are going to leave a gap here as well and make another stroke. Do you get what I'm saying? You leave a gap and make another stroke. Let me use my chalk. Alright, I've been able to transfer the strokes on the fabric. Remember, make a stroke, leave gap, make a stroke, leave gap, make a stroke. Just leaving a gap interval after making each stroke in each square. The same thing is applicable to this particular row. Do you understand? Make a stroke, leave gap, make a stroke, just leaving a gap interval in each and every one of them. Are you following? So after you must have done that, you now start your stitching. Alright, for the having made the pattern, the strokes to go on one direction. For the stitching, this is how you make the wave pattern stitch. You start from this point. You see the square, you see the stroke. Start from this point. Make a stitch. Now look at this excess thread. Do you see this excess thread? You have to leave an excess thread for tying. Then you stitch here as well, just a single stitch here. Then you stitch at the edge here as well. You see? You see how how it looks like. Then you now pull. After pulling, you then tie. That is where you have to leave an excess thread there. Tie. Did you see it? After tying, you now cut off the excess thread. This is the stitch we made. We are going to do the second one now. Alright, in the next one, the same thing we did in the first place, that is what we are going to repeat. You keep repeating it on each stroke you made to achieve the wave pattern of Canadian smoking. You see, still leaving my excess thread after tying the thread. Then a stitch, also make a stitch here at the tip. Then you pull. You see, after pulling them together, you now tie. So that is what you are going to do to each of the strokes on the fabric in order to achieve your Canadian wave pattern of Canadian smoking. So let me finish up this one and show you what the finished work looks like. Alright, this is the finished work. I've been able to stitch each of the strokes we made. Remember, stitching these strokes, stitch at the end there, at the beginning, stitch at the end there. Just 2 stitches on each of the strokes we made on the square. So this is the front view of the fabric. This is why it is called wave pattern. See how the shape looks like. Now this is the back view where we made our stitches. This is what it looks like. So this is the finished work. Thank you for your time. I hope this tutorial was helpful. Bye.